Hi, bird watchers. This is Stephanie here, doing a little bit of a live reveal with you guys on the last block of the Bird Watchers quilt. I'm not sure how many of you tuning in have participated so far, but we're finally in the last leg of our Bird Watcher block of the month, and I can't believe that it's already time. This year really went by so quickly. And as some of you may know, it was also our first time doing a wool applique block of the month. And that came definitely along with some learning curves, but we've had so much time designing it, putting it together, and creating a lot of how-to videos, how to do certain stitches, and uploading into this Facebook group. And likely we're going to use those videos in the future so we can continue teaching everyone how to do special stitches or how to do combo stitches and elevate your stitching. And if you are in the group of people that did the foundation paper piecing block as well, we're going to show that quilt, and it's also so lovely. I think the way that we've finished the one this year is so special because we actually didn't add a binding to it. And in the future, we're going to show you how we actually completed the quilt so that if you guys kind of remember, the foundation paper piece one has a branch that goes all the way across, and we didn't want the ends to look like they were cut off. So we actually did a special way of finishing the quilt, and we'll show you how to do that in future videos. But for now, and without further ado, I'm going to reveal the 11th block of our wool applique block of the month. So dun, 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 this is our Bullfinch. And as usual, there are one or two new stitches in this block that you guys probably haven't done before if you're new to hand embroidery and this is your first go about doing some handwork. So I'll do a little bit unpackaging as I have done in the past, but to kind of give you guys a close-up again, of course we have the high resolution image so you can see where the stitches go and what they look like. And then on the back has all the details and then the thread colors required for this specific block. So let's get into it. I hope that you all have been having fun so far putting this together. Oh, here we go. So it'll come out like a little booklet, as you can see here. And when I open that little booklet, here are all our pre-cut pieces of wool. They're not attached, so I'm trying to hold this kind of funny, but here they are right here. As you can see, it doesn't have a beak, and that's with quite a few of our birds because that's actually going to be stitched on, and they're always pre-cut, so you don't have to worry about things being lopsided, especially circular shapes like this eye here. Circles are always a little bit of a pain to cut out, so it's nice that it comes in the pre-cut kit here. And as usual, there's all the instructions here on this leaflet. And then on this side, of course, we have a legend with colors and the details of what stitch goes where. Oops. There you go. So it kind of looks like this. And this bird here is actually, it probably has one of my favorite textures of the birds that we've done so far. So I have the real thing, the completed version, just next to me. And let me just fold it up so you can see. All right. So this is our Bullfinch right here. So you know how I was talking about texture? I'm referring to this bit right here on his belly. That's with a trellis stitch. So it looks like it could potentially be a little complicated, but it's actually not too bad. And I know I say this a lot about different stitches, but hopefully as you've done a couple birds here or there, either with our pre-cut wool kits or with some leftover wool you have at home, you've found that it's actually not too complicated to do some of the stitches. It just takes a little bit of time and takes a little bit of practice to get some consistency, but I know for sure you guys can do this. This one here is the trellis stitch, and it has a really nice feel to it. And with the variegated thread as well, it creates such a nice texture. And the other stitch that we haven't quite used in other areas of this block is kind of this couching, this way of doing couching at least. So all I've done is laid down kind of a grid pattern with straight stitches, one long stitch from this end to this end, and I just tried to space them out as evenly as I could. And then I just did it in the perpendicular direction. And then as soon as everything laid out as uniform as I could get it, then I just used the variegated yellow, so the same color as this, and I just tacked down the corners of every square. So hopefully you guys can see. There we go. So I just did a little X on the corner to secure everything, and that also creates a really nice texture on the wing. So those are the two main stitches that you'd be learning on this block here. And then of course, having either a iron away pen or a wash away pen will be really helpful when you're trying to create the stencil that you see here, or the little greenery that we have here and here. Or you can freehand it. That's also fine, because it's nature. It doesn't have to look perfect or super uniform as well. You can, of course, do some freehand. I typically go with using like a friction pen. I'm not sure if you guys have had experience using friction pens before, but it's kind of labeled more as an erasable type of pen with like a little bit of a rubber thing at the back. And it does go away once it's heated up with an iron. So even if you don't want to iron your work, because I don't usually like ironing directly because it can flatten out the stitches actually, I'll just hold the iron quite close. Maybe I'll blow a little bit of steam on it from the iron, and actually the pen marks will also go away. And I know I've heard through the rumor mill before too that people are worried about the pen marks coming back once the quilt or your project is in the cold. That shouldn't happen. I did a little test myself, and I scribbled on some fabric, and then I ironed it away, and then I threw it into the freezer for like half a day to see if anything would reappear, and nothing did, luckily. So you should be pretty safe with using those friction pens. And I know those wash away ones are also really popular. So next on the docket is our 12th bird. So we're doing 2 birds today. It'll be the 11th and 12th, and that will wrap up actually the entire quilt. And what we have here is our little house finch. So we have 2 finches for block 11 and block 12, and this is our house finch. Same information on the back with the colors that are related to this specific block, including, I think, some fun facts too about the overall project. So I'm just going to open this up as I did with the other one. All right. Okay, so we have another little booklet here. And then once I open it up, there's our little finch. So in the packaging, we just aim to put it generally in the right spot. Things do shift a little bit here and there when it goes through delivery and shipping. So just be mindful of your layering, and if you want to like shift the bird at all to make space for the branch, you can do that. This is just so you can get an idea of what it looks like when it comes out of the packaging. The instructions again on one side, and then the legend with all the stitches on the other side. And as I was designing the stitches for these 12 blocks, I was pretty conservative in terms of how many new stitches to incorporate with every new block, especially because we want to keep it, you know, beginner friendly, but also a fun experience for people that like to do hand embroidery. But since this is the last and final block, I did add, I think, around 3 new stitches onto this one, but don't fret. They will I think they're quite easy to pick up, and they look gorgeous with the threads that are in the kit, or if you have some elegans at home, they look really nice with variegated threads, and that's the ones I decided to go with when I did these stitches. So since this one doesn't have any stitching on it, here is what it looks with all done. So let me kind of go through where I put certain stitches so you have a better idea of which ones are new that you might need to learn, or which ones that you might want to reimagine. If you're someone that really likes to do hand embroidery, you can of course use whatever stitch you want. You can just use mine as some inspiration if you want to, and build on top of that as you wish. So the first one is on this butterfly. So this little detail here, this is a double cast on bullion knot. So as you've done with some of the other birds, you've done bullion knots. A cast on is kind of a type of a bullion knot. It's still considered like a wrapped type of stitch. So you have to put the thread around the needle a certain way for you to achieve this look. But the general idea is that you'd be wrapping it from both sides instead of always going in one direction with one hand. Sometimes I'll use two hands to kind of wrap around the needle. And there's some really awesome tutorials on YouTube too, so you can physically watch someone do the action so you can replicate it, because this one might be a little bit harder to understand if you're just looking at pictures in a book. I find YouTube videos to be very, very helpful. And then on the wing of the bird here, we have a herringbone ladder stitch. Oops, there we go. So that's that variegated kind of zigzag that you see on the wing though there. That's called a herringbone ladder stitch. And that's kind of one I would also put in the category of a combo stitch, because I'm not sure if you can see super clear on the screen, but actually the base of it is a back stitch. There's 2 rows of back stitches on the top and on the bottom right here. And then you're kind of using those back stitches and you're grabbing your variegated thread or whichever one you want to show more, and you're just using the back of your needle and weaving it through, almost like a figure 8 pattern as you work down the line, and use the back stitch as the anchor. So at no point does this thread actually go through the back, aside from when you're starting the stitch and when you're finishing the stitch. All of it is surface work. So this one's all about weaving right there. And then the third stitch that is new, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out where everything is this one is called the cable chain stitch. And that will be on his tail. So this one is a stitch actually that is quite new to me as well. I didn't learn it too much earlier than when I was designing this bird, actually, when I was doing another wool applique pattern, and they use this as like kind of chains on the swing, and I thought it was such a cute little stitch. And so there's just 2 rows of it on his tail there. And aside from those 3, everything else would have been learned earlier. So there's just some like chain stitching, blanket stitches. We have some fly stitches and seed stitches. All of these you would have had experience working with if you did the other blocks, which is awesome. And so now that we've seen all 12 blocks, we don't have it fully quilted yet, just so you could see the stitches a little bit more clearly without any interruption, since we do have some stitches out in the wild, like this little butterfly here. So ours is not fully complete, but like I said before, we'll have lots of videos and photos of how we finish both the FPP version of this bird BOM and also how we finish the wool version of this BOM. So without further ado, this is our bird block of the month. Hopefully you can see all 12 blocks right there. I'm getting an assist from Callista. She's kind of behind the camera. So this is what all 12 bird blocks look like. As you can see, it's really colorful, even though throughout this whole quilt, it's actually just 11 colors of wool. And what we've done is really just played around with the different thread colors, the different contrasts. Sometimes we're using matching colors on the wool, like green and green, or sometimes we'll throw pink on the green or blue on the green and add a lot of fun texture throughout. So in terms of how we assembled this one, we just pieced it together with our 1/4-inch foot. So this is one option you can have when you're putting together wool quilts. You can, of course, actually also butt up the edges if that's something that you want to do and almost like crazy quilt them together by hand. And that's another option there too. So this is what the completed version looks like. And we'll be sure to post a high resolution image of this too, so you can take a close look at all the birds. Oh, there we go. Can you believe it's already, we've already gone through 12 months? That's so crazy. There we go. And so definitely not to diminish the foundation paper piecing one. I just sometimes like to go through the wool one a little bit more since there's different techniques per block, but we have the finished foundation paper piece one right next to me too. And so we'll hold that up as well. I'm obsessed with this one. This one looks so pretty. So here we go. This one's a little bit bigger, so we might have to kind of hold it up and bring it down a bit so you can see. And we'll do a full photographed reveal of this on the Facebook page as well. So like I mentioned earlier, because we didn't want to cut off the branches that run off to the edge of the quilt, we did a different type of quilting, and we'll show you how to do that if you are interested in finishing your quilt like this too. And then this is block number 11 and 12 of the foundation paper piece birds. Sorry, Clista's trying to help me do this. Okay, there we go. And there's our little house finch there too. And we did a little bit of quilting, special quilting on the tail feathers and the wings to add some texture. And if you have the thread pack that goes with this this quilt, it's exactly what we use to quilt it as well. So we're using confetti, and then of course the entire back is all Deco Bob. If you guys like this colorway as well, we are using the line of cottage cloth from Andover Fabrics. And we also have a vintage version of the birds too. So that one is still getting quilted at the moment, but we'll share that with you as well, because I know we brought that up at the beginning of this project, but it's just a little bit in progress right now. Yes, Clista?
Someone asked if you have a favorite block.
Do I have a favorite block? Oh my gosh, it changes all the time. Let me take a look. I think, oh, this is tough. I think the one I think is very cute is the toucan. I love how this thread color looks on black. So I definitely love our Mr. Toucan here. But the one that I feel probably more quite connected to is our sparrow, which is this bird block in the middle, because his wings are symmetrical. I had actually stitched this bird out a couple times with a symmetrical pattern on both wings, and it always looked kind of weird having it identical. So when I was looking at the thread colors and figuring out I had a teal and I had an orange, I was like, oh, why don't I try to use the opposite colors on each wing? And it turned out so pretty. And I see the ones on the Facebook group as well, and I think they all turned out so nice. So I think those two are probably my top contenders, but I can't leave out all our little birds that have a little blush on their cheeks. I love these birds as well. I think they're so cute. Yeah. Do we have any other questions? No. No other questions for now. Well, definitely stay tuned because we'll release probably additional educational videos, probably some stitching guides to help you out. Hopefully you guys can find some time in your busy November and November's over, my bad. In your busy in your busy December schedule between all the, gatherings with friends and family. If you have any downtime to do some stitching, this is a nice little project to finish. And we haven't officially released any news yet, but likely the new block of the month next year it's not going to come out right at the beginning. So you have a couple more weeks or months to work on this and finish it. Don't feel rushed or like pressured to finish it by the end of December. We'll be releasing more content in the next month or two to kind of guide people through how to finish their quilts so you can have like a really nice completed project. Oh, and some people already have them done. That's so exciting. So if you have them done, definitely post them on the group. We love seeing the blocks so much. We comment on them every single day. We like love seeing them. Even if you're someone that's experienced or new to it, I think the community that's been built throughout this has been really heartwarming. And a lot of times when we notice someone has a question, it's already been answered by the time we get to it. And we try to be pretty quick. So you guys are really on top of it too. So like I said, there's way more content on the way, and stay tuned because we will have news for next year's block. And I think you guys will really, really, really like it. And Callista's doing this to me, so I have to keep it a secret. So thank you guys so much for joining me live today. Have so much fun stitching out your blocks, whether you guys are stitching it bigger, smaller, resizing it, changing the colors, adding stitches. Yeah, we're just happy to see it all. So thank you again. Hope you guys all had a fantastic Black Friday, Thanksgiving, and I hope that your Christmas is amazing as well, and New Year's if I don't see you before New Year's. So bye everyone. Thank you so much for joining our live. And if you want any more threads, you can always go to our store locator on our website, or you can go directly to us on shopwonderful.ca. Thank you. Bye everyone.